Well, thanks everyone for coming out today. It's so good to see you. This panel is about ads to experiences. And if you look around today, there is no better example of experiences that like we're experiencing in Cannes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm Carmen Graf. I'm the moderator. I am the VP of Global Marketing at Indeed. Yeah. And I will pass this panel, by the way, is fabulous women. We had a lot of good fun getting to know each other earlier. So I'll pass it over to you, Twyla.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Twyla Huang-DiSimone. I'm the SVP of Brand Strategy and Solutions for Warner Brothers Discovery. I oversee a team of marketers who develop custom content ideas for our brand partners across news and entertainment and franchise and theatrical.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carmen, Vice President of Marketing at Qualcomm. And I originally came to Qualcomm to help our team lead our marketing transformation as we're diversifying into new businesses. And now I have the great pleasure to lead a wonderful team of marketers who are helping to launch us into the PC category in computing. So really happy to have the pleasure to work at Qualcomm and get to share a little bit about our story today.
Amazing. My name is Jackie Vignone. I'm the SVP of Sales and Business Development and a few other things at Genius. I've been with the brand for 8 years. We are a music discovery platform. You may know us if you're looking for your favorite lyric or trying to discover your favorite artist. I'm constantly working with brands and trying to connect the dots with my team on emerging artists and music culture. And I'm also very happy to be here.
And so, Twyla, I think I will actually start with you, if that's okay, as we're thinking about how do we break through and garner that attention. How do you ensure an authentic experience? You have a lot of data. You talked about your first party data, and you can generate relevance. Tell us a little bit about how you break through.
Sure. I mean, it's the age-old question. How does a marketer break through in this insanely crowded environment, right? I will say, it's funny because last week I was actually at the Tribeca X Festival listening to a speaker, and he mentioned how, on average, consumers are exposed to between 4,000 and 10,000 ads per day. And of that, we really only process between 0.5 and 1%, which on the high end is only 100 ads. So it is no wonder that these ads are not breaking through. At WBD, what we do is we really focus on the intersection of three important components. One is emotional connection, another is authentic storytelling, and the third is cultural relevance. And we look for that intersection, which sounds like a pretty easy formula to follow, but it is so nuanced and it really requires a high degree of creative intelligence because audiences can see right through it, right? They are intelligent, they sniff things out when they don't work. So we are constantly, encouraging our brand partners to focus on, a real authentic brand fit.
And are brands actually leaning in? Do you find them leaning into it now even more so?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of brands that come to us specifically to align with our IP, but they also are just looking for alignment to develop their own custom content with their brand studio Courageous.
That's great. Carmen, the other Carmen. When you and I were talking, we talked about Manchester United and your partnership there. And that is an incredible example of moving from ads to experiences and then tying that back into the business and sales. Will you tell, if people don't know about that, will you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yes, and it's nice because I have some of the people responsible for that in the audience today, which is fantastic. But it is a very unique thing that we've done from a Qualcomm perspective as we've invested in our Snapdragon brand. As I mentioned, we're looking to go and diversify into new categories. And what came with that was the need to build our brand and to do it very quickly, but also in a way that was, if you think about it, affordable. Because to buy all that media, as you mentioned, that's super expensive. And so we looked at new ways to do that where it really would help to bring our brand to life. And the uniqueness of the Manchester partnership is their global fan base and the significance of it being the #1 sports team in the world. The fact that a jersey is sold every 15 seconds globally. And then the third thing I would say about it is just the beautifulness that they were to actually work with. And that is the partnership that really came through for us. And I'll give you a couple of examples about that. So the equivalent of one game for them is the Super Bowl. And that is an enormous amount. If you think about the fact that we are a front of shirt sponsor for them, the 7th ever. And in that, every time that we're on there, we get that many eyeballs. But in addition, we also have an insider community. So if we're talking about experiences, we have 19 million insiders now at Qualcomm, which is just fantastic. It's our own fan base. And we have integrated them into the partnership with Manchester United where they're utilizing our technology that sits in everyone's hands today, whether it's a PC or a phone. And we've integrated those experiences to bring them to life. And then the last thing I want to mention is something that's very recent. And that has to do with charitable sponsorship and really getting to the core of what people care about. And we've been looking for an opportunity to engage with the organization RED for some time. And through the partnership with Manchester United, we creatively came up with a solution where we could share the front of shirt with them for one match. And in that, people could then purchase jerseys and all of that with them. But they got that equivalent of promotion and all that similar to us for one match. And just that creative partnership with them and helping connect more with people at the core is something extremely unique about our partnership with Manchester United.
And I love how you talk about building the brand internally as well, like the partnership internally. I think that is so incredibly important. We don't talk about that enough, so thanks for adding that. Jackie, welcome.
Thank you.
You sit really at this cornerstone of culture and music and audiences and a youth culture, right, with Genius. So tell us about how do you develop the experiences? How do you work with clients to ensure that they're authentic? How do you tell stories? Let us peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, absolutely. At the heart of who we are at Genius is that we're a community-based platform. While we have 80 million global users coming to the site every month, those are also contributors. So the more you contribute to the Genius site, the more IQ points you get. We have gamified the site from day one. So community and really being a fan of something like music is something that is at our core DNA. And prior to this, the CMO of Autodesk was talking, and she talked a lot about authenticity. We're all talking about that. There is nothing more authentic than talking to a fan of an artist and getting into the subculture of what that looks like. So we work day in and day out to connect brands with those subcultures and really thread the needle on how they can either give that artist a platform from the very beginning, and we use a product called Music IQ, which is our first-party data product, or we are thinking about how they can go a little bit bigger, right? And they want to kind of ride the train that has already taken off. So really at the heart of it is all about fandom, communities, and the subcultures to get that nuanced, in-depth conversation that I think brands really want. It is no longer about that, personalization and a smart ad is great, but when you can have that interactivity with your consumer, you really start to drive brand, and that's where we sit.
And then do you have any favorite examples or recent examples that you can share?
I do. Just this quarter, or last quarter now, we launched an incredible campaign with Jordan. For those of you who know, Nike, Jordan, right, they're having an awareness issue with youth culture. If you can believe it, kids weren't buying Nikes, right? They weren't buying Jordans the way they were. There is so much disruption in that space. So they decided to really lean into the original Jordan. 1984, Michael Jordan hits the court, and he is wearing a black, white, and red Jordan 1. And the NBA said, no, right? You cannot wear this sneaker. So they decided to ban him from playing. This is his rookie year. So Jordan created a campaign on the narrative of what if they never paid for him to play in those sneakers? What if they made him change? They paid $5,000 a day for him to play in those sneakers until they changed. So Unbannable was a campaign where they talked about What if Jordan never came to be? He wouldn't show up in culture. He wouldn't show up in music. You know, Jordan is mentioned in songs, 6 rings, right? 2, 3. There's so many ways that they talk about Michael Jordan and culture. So we worked with Jordan to think about how music can play a role. And during the Grammy time, because they were airing this spot for the first time during the Grammys, we did something we've never done before, which is we basically banned 8,000 lyrics and 5,000 artists' lyrics. So when you went to the Genius site, you actually couldn't see the lyrics. There were these black Sharpie markers over it. And we did it for a multitude of days during this Grammy. So if you're watching the Grammys and you wanted to see one of your favorite artists' lyrics, you couldn't see them. It really disrupted what they were trying to do and had that interactivity. So something we're incredibly proud of.
That is really impressive too, and so I'm sure you had to jump through a lot of hoops actually to pull that off. But that is an amazing example. Twyla, what about you?
Oh yeah, I mean it's funny because I know we're all talking about authentic storytelling and fandom, and it is absolutely true. It's something that we lean into at WBD as well. You know, I already spoke about this a bit, but in terms of authentic storytelling, you know, it is so critical because we never want to see a force fit of a brand that is pushing themselves into a series or into any sort of cultural moment that doesn't make sense for them. So we're always trying to steer our clients towards that intersection of culture and relevance and making sure that they fully understand that they really need to focus on that true brand fit. And the way that we do that is through really delving into what our brand partners are interested in. So we follow this process where we, of course, you know, look at our partners' timelines and objectives and their goals, but then we dig a lot deeper, right? We want to understand their brand ethos and their attributes and, you know, how they want to be seen by consumers, but how consumers actually perceive them. And then, you know, from there, we were able to get a much clearer picture in terms of, you know, what kinds of solutions we can bring forward. And this process is something that we follow not just for our existing IP, for, you know, current shows like The Last of Us or The White Lotus or Hacks or even Rick and Morty, but they're also being leveraged for our deep catalog of timeless content. So we recently rolled out a really awesome opportunity for brands to dig into what we're calling the WBD Storyverse. And essentially, they can now tap into what we're calling nostalgic content, which includes films like When Harry Met Sally and Elf, and series that like Friends and One Tree Hill and The Big Bang Theory. And there's so many programs with this level of depth and excitement in terms of fandoms that are already built in. And just one example of, you know, where that intersection really matters is something that we recently did for Genesis and in Just Like That. Are you watching this series? You know what this is? Yes, It's a spinoff of Sex and the City. Features SJP, you know, the queen of fashion. And obviously she's sort of, you know, cavelling around the city with her friends in this new series as well on Max. But truly, fashion is the central character of the show. And so what we recently did for Genesis is we not only were able to offer them a title sponsorship, but we worked with them to develop an editorial companion series that was fully focused on the fashions of the show. And the way that this came about was through fan feedback. Because the costume designer of the show, her name is Molly Rogers. She actually has a really strong following on social, and her fans asked her to put this program together. And so she brought it to the showrunner, Michael Patrick King. He loved it. We brought it to Genesis. It felt like a no-brainer, obviously, because of the style and luxury. But upon digging a little bit deeper into them, you know, Genesis also stands for creativity and craftsmanship, which is exactly in line with what Molly does in her daily job. And so you'll see in the companion series, the vehicle, she's actually also a Genesis driver, so it made it even more organic, where she was able to, you know, utilize the vehicle driving around town to actually find these incredible baubles and trinkets and florals and beautiful fabrics that are featured in the show. And it was such a gift for the fans. So all of these things that these ladies are saying absolutely resonates with what we do at Warner Brothers Discovery as well.
That's a great example. Thank you. and really detailed. You can tell how you thought through every single kind of touch point through the journey. So that's impressive. Okay, Carmen, you've always been really on the Qualcomm side, B2B. Now you're really focusing on the compute side with B2C. So how do you, from the brand side, how do you sell big ideas into a company of engineers?
It's very, very challenging.
Yes.
But when you connect it to the end sales goals, that's when things come to life.
Yeah.
And I actually give our company a ton of credit. They have we've done our research and our homework about what it's going to take to be successful in this space, especially as we're creating and need to create the brand awareness and preference in order to drive product and drive the sell-through. So I wish I had sexy fashion stuff to talk about, but I do have sexy tech. And so, like, we have the best of what is next of any cutting-edge technology. I mean, we are an AI company at the core, and through our Snapdragon-based X-Series devices, anyone can create their fashion dreams, be a creator, and make all that come to life. But for us, we have to tell those stories in new ways. And so when we worked through our leadership team, it was very clear that we had to create the brand at the top as well as the pull-through in the bottom. So the full funnel marketing stack is an extreme requirement, especially as we're bringing these new products to life and driving really some exponential growth is our target. And so with that, the partnership between sales, finance, and marketing, as well as the business unit, is essential. And in fairness as well, we've worked really hard to find team members that embody that partnership spirit and bring it to life. I mean, even coming to Cannes, I couldn't be in a couple meetings, and my sales guys totally represented for me, laid down some money, and got our money over the line. So, to buy more media, by the way. But the point being is
Thank you.
That's like true teamwork at its finest. Our sales guys pitching for us because they want it so bad. So I just think that element of partnership and the faith in what in marketing brings to being successful is just really essential, and we have it, which is great.
And then how do you media has always been relatively easy to measure, right? And now how are you showing the ROI to customers or your Twyla?
So at Warner Brothers Discovery, the ROI, like I said, we have brands that are already coming to us, asking us to develop content for them, or they're bringing content that they've developed on their own and just asking us to distribute it on platform. So it really proves out that marketers are already seeing that content marketing drives ROI. But what we do is that we pair our storytelling with lower funnel advertising, like shoppable ads, right? We actually have a product called Shop with Max, which displays a product gallery alongside relevant content. And that product in itself literally showcases the connection between content and commerce. And we are already seeing a 12x lift in terms of product page views as it relates to that specific product. So, I mean, content and commerce, they just go hand in hand, and we literally see the results.
Yeah. What about you, Carmen?
One of the things that we've done in this space, which aligns with what you're saying, is a challenge that actually our communications teams manages our influencers at Qualcomm. And they had a challenge of 100 influencers in 100 days to create very authentic, genuine content around what our technology can help to enable for them. And it's super awesome to see all of these influencers come at it in their own way. And the uniqueness is the PC buyer is 50% women, 50% men. And so you get this very interesting pull-through. Moms, you get young students, you get those that want to code and use AI for coding. All these different use cases coming forward with the work the influencers are doing. And all of them are very shoppable, as you're saying. We can then redirect them to our partners where they can buy our PCs directly and showcase our OEMs in that process too, because we're an ingredient brand. So it's part of that whole package coming together, and that's one of the challenges our comms team, and it's getting amazing results.
And you're measuring it, so you can always take back to your FP&A team, here's the results, here's the business outcome, which is amazing. Okay, Jackie, what about on your programs, like the one you just talked about with Genius and the Grammys? What was success? What was success with that for the client you worked with?
Sure. I mean, most things, we're always working mostly at the top of the funnel. We do drive things a little bit towards the middle with, some sort of call to action or a drive of demand in some capacity. But for the most part, we're really looking at brand affinity lift studies, brand awareness, and engagement. Engagement is our biggest thing. I think if we can really enact participation, we can really break through the clutter. So for us, it's like, are they engaging with the content? Are they going back to that artist? Are they sharing it, right? Is when an artist can share something and a brand can go along with that, whatever that halo effect is for us is a huge point of measurement. So really thinking about how we're sort of following that conversation full circle is paramount for us. But yeah, return on investment means so many different things depending on what you're trying to accomplish. We are not a full funnel solution, but we can definitely get people to genuinely drive that brand demand by putting them in the right environments.
That's right. Well, that's the first step anyway. Okay, someone said you have to ask an AI question, and so I will, because that is the buzzword, of course. Carmen, you come from an AI company. You probably saw all this coming before we all did. And I guess a question for all of you, how are you using AI today? And then how are you at the same time ensuring that you're getting to your audiences in a relevant way that is still meaningful, either with a story or how you're reaching them? Or I'm just curious because a lot of times we're hearing, AI can take care of this. It's DCO. Just put it out there. It'll measure. It'll optimize in real time. How are you bringing that story to life through the use of AI?
Yeah, so I'll approach this from two perspectives when it comes to AI. And yes, at Qualcomm, we're very familiar. We know what it can do, what the risks are, how to manage through that, how to make it enterprise grade, and how to do it well. But still, humans are in charge, to be fair. So that's the most important part. So I'm going to come at it from a marketing technology perspective first, because in fairness, our industry has been doing machine learning and the impetus of the beginning parts of AI for quite some time. And media is a core part. Even your work that you do is all a part of that. So really, as an industry, we've been in it or the forefront of it for a while. And so we're already ready with many partners that are probably here in the room today of utilizing that to do better targeting in that with AI and coming after it with personas that now we can do the content in new ways that actually are making the things we promised each other a while ago actually come to life now. That's the truth of it, okay? Because that other stuff was really hard and wasn't actually happening. So now it's actually happening. We have a partner like 6 Sense that we've been using for almost 3 years now that helps us to do that. That's B2B targeting in that space. And then the other part I would say is how it's transforming the work that our teams do, which is very, very important. Now we're putting it in the hands and democratizing it so everyone can use it. And we have a partner that we've been using for quite some time, which is Writer. And I think we have a couple of connections with them here at Cannes. But we really love that because when we launched that program, they could promise enterprise-grade protection of your data, and you use that to write, but also do other things now. They can do agents that help our workflow and processes, connect into Salesforce, work with Adobe Workfront, and connect all these things to do the workflow better. When we launched that, we launched it where we actually had a test set of 70 people, and over 80% of them all ended up using it on a daily basis and wouldn't give it up. And that was beyond comms team. Marketing championed it. But it went into legal, it went into finance, it went into contracts, the core legal team. So now it's a cross-company thing that we're using. So that's just a couple of examples to answer the question. Like, it's significant, and we are all using it, whether personally or in work, and it has so many benefits to offer to us.
Yes, yeah. And Jackie, what about you? I'm sure you are in terms of just through Genius and matching and community.
Sure. Yeah, I do think there's two sides of it. There's the productivity operational side of the house, which as a leader of a fairly large organization, I think it's paramount that we're giving them the tools to make sure they can work smarter and think about productivity in a different way. we use it, we have internal systems that we use it for. We also use it maybe for as a thought leader or a co-collaborator, I should say, when thinking about ideation. But I think the whole AI thing, we've been using AI for years. We just never talked about it. It's been in everything. And now that we're openly talking about it, I just think it's important to address the fact that we have to really embrace it. It doesn't need to be a leash, right? It can be a launch pad to everything we do. And the more we embrace the technology, which is exponentially moving faster every year, the better off we'll all be as leaders, marketers, et cetera. So, when it comes to creativity and storytelling, sort of that side of the house, storytelling is very nuanced. Right now, we do most of that manually, but I'm very open to the fact that we may not very soon, and that there being another completely different way of doing it next time I'm on stage next year.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah, and there will be. Twyla, what about you?
I mean, as you can imagine, in the creative community on entertainment side, AI is a very tricky subject, but we definitely leverage it from a efficiencies, a processes perspective, as well as to get brands a little bit closer to the storylines. So we have a product called Moments where we essentially scan our audio and video content. We tag it with different themes, with different sentiment, what's happening in the actual scene. So, for example, you might have a couple of friends in a scene where they're hanging out on the beach having a drink, and then you can place directly next to that a Corona ad, right? And so, speaking of ROI, this product actually also delivers significant lift, a 6x lift in consumer action. So, I think there are absolutely... I use AI in my daily life. I think there's definitely some really great uses for it for efficiency purposes and getting brands a little bit closer.
Great. All good examples and very different. So, okay, well, we just have about 3 minutes left. So I have also added a lightning round, but it's not one word. You can actually answer. So what is a word or sentence that describes the future of media?
Constantly evolving. Further consolidation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, consolidation for sure, yeah.
So I actually have a couple. I was toying with Star Wars, Out of This World, but I actually think it's more like Back to the Future. And what I mean by that is I think media is getting involved in a lot of the creative spaces much more than it has in the past. And it's going to have a really big role in that. And the uniqueness that the media teams and landscapes have to unlock that through your examples or yours or just an exact testament of that, like getting back to the creative space for media as well.
Yeah.
And to say something different, I think connectivity, I think we're in a very tech-first world, which I love, but I think there's an element of nostalgia and connectivity that's going to continue to play a role in what we do in media, whether that is, IRL events are, bigger and back and better than ever. Connecting with, there's apps now that can just connect you with people in real life, right? Because we've been home so much. So just the idea of connectivity, I think as a society also.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. What is the most underrated, and I know this is coming from media platforms, what's the most underrated media platform?
I mean, it's more a gaming platform than a media platform, but I think Roblox.
Roblox.
Children are constantly playing on Roblox, constantly asking to purchase things from Roblox, so that would be my answer.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going back to the future again with this one, and it's called the web. The reason why I say that is all the AI training and everything that's going on, anything in that ecosphere is just more important than ever.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a different angle. I was sort of debating on what to say here, so I'll say the one thing that I'm personally interested in, which is Substack. I feel like the idea of a one-stop shop for now a newsroom or that one-to-one connection with an audience is completely gone. We don't have an issue with our traffic, but there's many media brands that have literally dropped off the map in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So the idea that Substack allows you to not only talk to your audience one-to-one, but also podcast, live stream, newsletter, throw events, they have just, taken off this year, and I'm interested to see what they're doing.
Yeah, great answer. I agree. Okay, let's see. What is, okay, I know we're coming at the end. What's your favorite thing about Cannes? Let's just go there. Or con. Or how do you say it? Can?
Rosé.
Excellent. Okay.
Oh, you said
rosé.
Rosé. I love the fashion and the food.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah, I think being in France and being able to do this while looking at the ocean is not so bad. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining.
Thank
Any
you.
last minute thoughts? Y'all good? I'm sure you're going to run out over here and have a glass of
Appreciate
rosé.
you all
We're
listening.
gonna go have some rosé together. I think
Yes,
that's it.
let's go do that right now. Okay, well, thanks for
Thank you.
joining. Bye, everyone.